What's up, Internet? You're tuning in episode 118 of Nintendo Noise, Flip Screen Games Weekly Nintendo Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Messi, joined as always by my very good friends and co-hosts, Mr. Steven Radford
Hello, hello.
and Miss Sierra Plus Ultra.
Sup?
Yo, we're back. I think it's been a minute since the three of us have done a show together,
You're
huh?
so back.
Yeah, good while, Sierra's been off making new singles and stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know we've had it in the description the last couple of weeks and we've talked about it, but Sierra, why don't you give the folks a reminder about Darting Eyes?
Oh, thank you. My band released a new single called Darting Eyes on November 15th. So if you like noodly, shreddy, post-hardcore music, singing and screaming, it might be for you. It's also inspired by the anime Fire Force, if that might be up your alley. So definitely check it out if you get a moment.
It's a really, really good song. I've listened to it a ton, and I will just share this with you, Sierra. I wanted to share this with you on air. There was a point where I had pulled up one of the stories that you guys put out or something, and Sarah like heard the screaming and was like, "Holy shit!" I was like, "Yeah, that's Sierra," and she goes, "What? Whoa, that's so good!"
I love that. Surprise!
Yeah. So definitely everybody go make sure you go check it out. Go show With Sales Ahead some love, and yeah, go check out the work and be excited for the next one because it's right around the corner. Of course. So speaking of right around the corner, is Mario Kart's next iteration right around the corner? Because of course, just 2 weeks ago, we got the last drop of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC, a piece of content 10 years in the making somehow. We are finally done with the waves here. And now there are rumors swirling about what comes next. So I thought, let's take the opportunity. We'll talk a little bit about, what we've gotten here with Mario Kart 8 now that it is seemingly finally winding down. Its insane run of like 10 years on the market and being an absolute gangbuster seller the entire time. And then we can, pull out the roadmap and look ahead and see what we think the future might look like here. But I'm gonna start things off with a question from Sierra from the Discord, who wrote in and said, "What are y'all's overall impressions of the Mario Kart 8 DLC now that it's over? What were your favorite additions, and what do you feel, if anything, it's missing? Do you think they'll move straight on to 9 or squeeze every last drop they can out of Mario Kart 8?" So Sierra, let's start with you. I know you said you got a chance to play the most recent batch here, and
Yes.
I'm interested to hear what you think.
So, out of this most recent batch, there are a couple that like really kicked my ass, like tracks, the Bowser's Castle one and the DK Mountain from Double Dash. I
Level.
those are probably my favorites, but also like I lost so hard. They're so challenging. A lot of hairpin turns and stuff that drove me insane. But this is a good batch, I think, to wrap up all the DLC. And then the tour stuff, I have such a weird love-hate relationship with. On one hand, it's like, oh, it's so fun. They got the fountain guy in there from Rome. And then like all the landmarks, you kind of see them as you're driving around. But like they're also really distracting. And then like I think Shui said this in the group chat that like the tracks are just not linear in a way that like you can really work with or predict like on your first couple go arounds. Like it takes a lot of getting used to. Um Otherwise, big fan. There are some people who really hate the tour tracks. I'm not quite there, but they're quirky to me. And yeah.
Yeah, I like them more than I don't. Like, I think it's fun that those, like, tracks are not, just kinda trapped on this mobile game that,
Yeah.
like, your mileage may vary. Some people like it, obviously, but, um, you know, I don't know. I guess I get the criticism at some points, but, like, I generally think they're more fun. It's more fun that they're here than they're not, I guess.
Yeah. I guess you're trying to be a sweat. They can be annoying, but a
Sure.
lot of people
Yeah.
just play the game to race cars. So, you know, nothing wrong with that.
yeah, I was always just the race cars, but I'm not picking any of those tracks when I'm voting. Like, it's just not going to happen. I'm picking the ones I know. I'm glad to see some more Wii tracks in the new wave. I used to love Maple Tree Way.
Me
on the
too.
Wii. It's one of my favorites. I'm
They
glad
got
to see
another
that
Rainbow
that's
Road in
here.
there
Yeah.
too.
I
Yeah.
know. I
Come
can't
on.
believe that. That's ridiculous at this point. Like it's like Rainbow Road the game. I think there's one in
Yeah.
every wave. Wasn't there a Rainbow Road or something like that?
Is that true?
Um.
Like there's 6 of them.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like crazy how many there are.
Mhm.
Look, they got to get everyone in, you know?
Yeah. There's like they added 2 new ones and there were 4 already in the game,
Mm.
which is just crazy.
I know. Look at all the different options, all the different ways you can lose. Fall to your death.
My favorite Rainbow Road was the N64 one though.
Yeah,
The
that's a classic.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's like a nostalgic factor for me there for sure, but like that's my favorite one too.
Must be an age thing. I'm sure there's
Yeah,
people who
probably.
are listening and they're like, yeah, no, the Wii one's the best
Yeah,
one.
I'm sure,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I would imagine that's the case. I do think it's hilarious, like their dedication to that bit to be like, we're just everyone. We'll make a new one every time. We're gonna put all of them in this game is so funny to me.
Yeah. Do them all.
Whatever.
Why
Yeah,
pick?
right.
Dump 'em.
Exactly. Let everybody have their favorite, right?
Yeah.
Every track is here.
Everybody's here.
So in terms of favorite additions, and I guess like the other part of the question, if there's anything that's missing, like I feel like for me, a lot of the courses I care about are here at this point, right? Like I can't think of any real big highlights that I felt like we were missing out on. I think Steve, I remember Coconut Mall was like one of your favorites that
That
you
was
asked
my
for
favorite. Yeah.
forever, and it finally
Yeah,
came. That
I was
was
really
the first one.
I
happy
screamed
that
on the
came.
review.
Yeah, I was so excited about that. I don't know. I kind of wish that we'd have got new courses here. I know that wasn't their intention. We got one new course, right? The Yoshi's Island in the Fruit Cup, in wave 4. But I don't think we really got. I don't think they were at up the quality that the Wii U DLC was when we got the Animal Crossing
Yeah, I
track,
think
for
that's fair to say.
example. I feel like they were kind of a tier above these tracks, which are just ports from the mobile game, for the most part, I think.
Well, and then like random ones from other games that hadn't made the cut yet, right?
Mhm.
Which is cool. Like I think that's good content, but I'm kind of inclined to agree with you where like I think the original wave of DLC for Mario Kart 8 was like it felt so incredible because it's like, oh my god, what they're adding Link, they're adding the Animal Crossing
Yeah, you got the
villages.
Hyrule
Yeah.
Castle one in there, didn't you? That was really cool. And they were so custom, like you were picking up rupees or you were picking up bells on the Animal
Bells,
Crossing
right?
one.
Yeah.
They felt really unique. They were really cool.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
seasons changed. Like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah. That's such a good track.
it's one of my
I
favorites.
I would have loved something like that, right? Like if we got even one extra, like, oh hey, like maybe we added Captain Falcon, right? Because there's already the big blue
Mm.
course, or like we
Mhm.
added, I don't know, some other character that like, or like when they did the F-Zero 99 thing, they could have done like, hey, we're adding another F-Zero track, and Captain Falcon's a new character, right? And like just something little like that
I mean,
that maybe made it feel like it was as much of an event as the first round of DLC. But I guess there's an argument to be made that the fact that it exists at all is like a huge event because
that's
it's like
crazy. Yeah,
who would have
yeah. But
expected, right?
this is like their best-selling game of all time, and I think what I would have liked is tracks based on IP or games or things that came after Mario Kart. Like a Splatoon themed track would be really cool. Like bring one of
Yeah.
the levels, maybe it changes, maybe the colors change. There's so much to do with like the ink there would have been cool. You could have done like an arms thing, but maybe they want to forget that arms existed.
You didn't need to take a shot at arms like that. Arms is doing poorly enough on its own.
or like a Labo thing, right? Because they even added in like the VR support for the Labo goggles thing that they did. Like something like cardboard themed would have been cool, or like the Woolly World theme would have
Yep.
been cool.
Mm.
Something
Could
a
have done
little bit more
Metroid,
creative. Yeah, like a Metroid thing
something.
would be cool.
Something Paper Mario would have been
That would be
so
really
Yeah.
cool.
sick.
Yeah. Or like again, right? Like there was the Mario movie, there's like Mario RPG, like you knew those things were coming out, when you know, uh,
Mhm.
set out that roadmap, like you could have had cool moments like that. And I think that's something that like I would love to see Nintendo do a better job of moving forward, where like something like, like you got to imagine what comes next, right? Mario Kart 9, whatever you want to call it, is probably going to go on to become one of their best selling games again, because Mario Kart is Mario Kart. And like it would be cool to see them use that as more of a promotional tool and try to drive people towards like some of the other games that maybe are not going to get as much attention, like putting a character from one of those games in Mario Kart, or maybe making like a level based on it, or something that you can kind of create this inroad and hopefully get people to be like, oh, what's that?
They did that with Smash, right? All the season passes seem to like coincide with like a game release, starting with the Joker.
It would do like the
Um,
sticker releases too, right? Where it's like you'd have
mm.
those like events where you could go and do the new challenges and everything.
Yeah,
So
so it's kind of a shame that they've not done that. But this might not be the end of it. I kind of think it is, but it might, maybe we'll see more. Who knows? Like I didn't think we were going to get this DLC to begin with.
Well, I
Um,
guess that's the last part of the question, right? Like, do you think the next thing we get is more Mario Kart, or do you think that there's going to be more MK8 content? I feel like it's probably done, and I think that it's probably for a few reasons. There's a rumor we'll talk about in a minute here where that claims that Mario Kart's next iteration is around the corner and that it's been in development for a long time, which is believable. But I think the other thing that is interesting is that for the first time since 2017, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was not one of the top 20 best selling games in the United States last month. And it's like, that's not, you know, whatever, right? Like, it's like the top 20 game.
Yeah.
It's 2017. They're still happy with that. I'm sure it's still sold pretty well by most games metrics. But I think it does speak to the fact that the insane juggernaut that it is, right? It's like it has to end at some point. And, 2 full console generations of this being a best selling game, a system seller for a lot of folks, right? There's that Black Friday bundle you can buy again this year. It's probably time, right? Like we got through 2 more waves of DLC. I think they've wrung more blood out of this stone than anyone could have reasonably expected. And
Yeah.
but like what else do you do? Right? I think I
yeah.
think we're ready for something new. And I'm sure that for how long that they've, probably had that game in development, right? Like or at least kicking around, they got to be ready to release something new too, you imagine.
I wonder if Mario Kart 8 is still in the top 20, but Nintendo never report the digital sales figures to Sakana, formerly MPD.
Mhm.
And I wonder if that just is the retail sales and people aren't buying the retail version, or they're buying the bundle that comes with the digital copy of the game. So technically they are downloading it, because it's always in the charts whenever I open the eShop. It's always up there, and I'm always surprised by how many people are still buying this game. I'd have thought that everyone who wanted it would have owned it by now, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, you would think, right? Like it's like the attachment rate on the thing has to be insane at this point. But yeah, I mean, I think it also just speaks to like how many people are still buying a Switch, right, and getting a
Mhm.
copy of it now, right? It's going to just keep happening. So, I'm inclined to think that the next thing is going to be something new, right? And
It's gotta be
there is
something fresh, 'cause
Yeah.
there's only so much they can do. Like, with Mario Kart 8, they added, like, the gravity stuff in, right? That was the unique thing that you can, like, go up on the walls and, like, on the
right.
sides and stuff. What do they do next? Like, what is there new that they can do? We've seemingly got every single course they've ever made that anyone wants in Mario Kart 8. What's the incentive for me to buy the next Mario Kart?
Right.
I mean, I think they're gonna have to. It's pretty similar to the conversation Sierra and I had about Smash, like what 2 weeks ago now. I think it's gonna have to be like a big swing. Like they're gonna have to do something different because I think scaling back is really probably not an option because I don't know you like kart racers are already simple, right? So it's like you can't make it if you try to make it more mechanically complex, you remove what about it makes it the best-selling Nintendo game, right? Which is that anybody can play it and it's fun even if you suck. So like I think it's going to have to be a gimmick. It's going to have to be like a double dash type thing if I'm guessing, right? Because I don't know what else you do aside from just leaning into being like, okay, this is Mario Kart X. It's going to have every track that we put in 8 and all that content is there. And now there's twice as much, right? Like we made 40 new tracks. There's all these new characters, or maybe they do like blow it up and do like a more Nintendo Kart thing and bring in characters from other franchises
I
and
could
you
see
try to
that, maybe the
lean
Yeah.
X
into
is
the
like
crossover
a
thing.
cross, like a cross for a crossover thing. It could be that,
Yeah.
or it could mean 10, which it probably does, because I think they consider Mario Kart Tour to be Mario Kart 9.
Could be both,
Um,
right? It could be 10,
yeah.
but it's also cross because it's the crossover one. They do
I mean, that'd be
like
cool. Like, do a Smash, bring in even outside of Nintendo's franchises. Let's get a Persona themed course where I can ride around it as Joker and I can do unique things. I think that would be really cool. Maybe that's an angle they go down. Like each of the racers has something unique, and you pick them, and it gives them like an angle. Because at the moment, it's like these ones are the light ones, these are the middle ones, and these are the heavy ones, and that's really kind of the only difference between the characters.
right.
Yeah,
That
maybe
would
they
be
all have
interesting.
different like abilities and shit like that. So on top of the items you can get like certain characters can make the whole track like Inkling can turn the whole track into like fucking like Squid Ink or some shit,
Mhm.
or like I don't know, Waluigi is
Or
just
maybe
there.
like Inkling could like go like into the ground,
Oh,
like
that's it.
a
Yeah, that's way more clever. Yeah, just something
That would be
crazy like that.
interesting. You could
Yeah,
use something like that as like a dodge, right? It's like, oh, there's a blue
yeah.
shell coming, and you use the Inkling's ability, and it's like maybe you can only use it like once a race, or there's like a cooldown or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah, I could see something like that. Or if you did do something like double dash and there were like character abilities, like it could be like about like synergy, right? Like it's like, oh, I picked this character because they have this ability, and I picked this one because they're
Mm,
heavy, so they're fast. And like I think something that like maybe adds some level of min-maxing to it so that you can have that added layer of depth, but hopefully like not make it crazy, to the
yeah.
point where it's like something that is alienating to new players.
yeah, as long as I can still pick Kirby and just slam the button, I'm fine, because that's all I know
It's
how to
tough
do
though.
in Smash.
I think there's a reason they didn't release another one on the Switch, right? Like, it's like, how do you
I don't think they needed to anyway. Like,
Yeah,
why are you gonna invest that much money in making a brand new game when you can just release the same one you did on the Wii, and the Wii U, and everyone's gonna buy it anyway? And
and,
then
like,
to
how many
add
people
the
had a
new
Wii U,
courses.
right? So it's
Yeah,
like, for a
exactly,
lot of
yeah.
people, it was new.
Completely
Yeah.
missed it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, look, this
So
new
let's
Mario Kart game.
Yeah, it's brand new to me. So let's talk a little bit about the brand new Mario game, Mario Kart, excuse me. Because there is a rumor about Mario Kart, X, I guess is what we're calling it, and it is interesting because, when it comes to rumors and stuff like this, whether or not we report on them is very dependent on like what the source is and, like how much of a grain of salt we feel like we need you to take with it. And this is an interesting one because it comes from a leaker who goes by Zippo, who you may remember because he's gotten a couple, or I should say they got a couple correct leaks in the past, some of which were definitely very oddball things. Like the biggest one is everybody's 1-2 switch, right? I think when it comes to somebody predicting things like there will be a new Mario game or there will be a new, it's like you say some of those things enough, you're going to get one of them right. And anybody can look like they knew something if
Yeah.
they play their cards right, right? That's the kind of thing where like nobody thought that we were getting a sequel to 1-2 Switch, right? And the fact that it came out to be what it was, and that so many of those details were spot on,
Mhm.
it's lended some credence to Zippo, right? There's also been Metroid Dread and Fire Emblem elements of those games were reported ahead of time, but then there are also certain things, right, where they were one of the people involved with spreading the new 3D Donkey Kong game rumor, which Steve, you and I have talked about for years now, right? Still no sign of that. So does that mean that was incorrect? Did it get canceled? Has it been delayed? Who's to say, right?
It
So
could be any of those, right? Because we saw that with the Metroid Prime trilogy remastered thing. Turns out they were taking a different approach. Maybe they did do the trilogy first, and then they kind of doubled back and were just like, no, with the Metroid Prime 4 reboot, maybe they readjusted their plans, and that could have been the same thing with the Donkey Kong game. Might just be that it wasn't fun, and they've gone back to the drawing board.
Right. Yeah. Or that it's just still in active development, right? Because when the rumor originally debuted was back in, like, I want to say 2018, maybe 2019. Games take a long time to develop. Breath of the Wild was in development for 6 years, right? 6+ years. So
Mhm.
the idea that just because we haven't seen it doesn't mean it's not real, right? So with that
Yeah.
in mind, right? This is what Zippo is reporting. So take it with a grain of salt. It's a rumor right now, but this seems to be one of those ones where at least some of it you can probably take to the bank, right? So what we know is that the game is being called Mario Kart X, and the claim is that it will be out in 2025. And as part of Zippo's claims, right? Why it's called Mario Kart X is not something that we know yet, right? I think there's the point that you made there, Steve, that maybe they look at Torres 9. This is the 10th Mario Kart game. So we're, jumping ahead a number ostensibly, but reasonable enough. But that this would be released during the second year of the Switch's life cycle, which, based on what we've heard, based on what we're predicting and seeming to think right now, that's all in line, right? New Switch is next year. Mario Kart is maybe one of the first big games we get of its second year on the market. Fair enough. So,
2025 is also the like 40-year anniversary of Mario. So it would make sense
Wow.
wow,
that
that
it would come out that year. And I'd imagine we'll probably have a lot of Mario in
yeah,
2025. We know we've got the Peach game next year, but what's next for Mario? Are we going to get the sequel to Odyssey, or the next 3D Mario? Is going to be another 2D Mario? There's like Mario Kart X is coming out that year as well. So 2025 would probably make sense for the release of Mario Kart.
damn, you could like theoretically have the second movie ready by then too, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
that timing lines up pretty well. It's interesting. That's an interesting one. So what else we know is that it'll be developed by Nintendo EPD Production Group 9, which is the same team that worked on Mario Kart 8, and that they're going to be getting some additional help from Bandai Namco, who themselves opened a new studio that is specifically exists to work with outside companies, primarily Nintendo, right? That association between the two of them has only been on the rise over the Switch generation, and we saw them help with Smash. We saw them work on stuff like Pokken. So
Metroid
not
Prime
surprising.
4.
Metroid Prime 4, true. So not surprising to see that that they're gonna get their hands wet involved in this one as well. So this was the part I found most interesting. Zippo says that Nintendo is, quote, sparing absolutely no expense with this game, and it will be one of the most expensive games that Nintendo has ever produced. Makes sense, though, right? When you think about it, it's a sequel to maybe their best-selling game of all time, right? I'm not
Yeah.
sure off the top of my head, but definitely the best-selling game on the Switch. Absolute, gangbuster that has sold for them for a decade now. Yeah, makes sense that you want to invest your money and try to make another one of those that'll last for another 10 years and make that same return, right?
Yeah.
It would make sense. I mean, I'd love to see them go the live service route with this. Like, I'd love to see them go the live service route with a bunch of their games, but I mean, they kind of sort of did, right? The DLC sort of is a live service. You subscribe to Switch Online, and you get access to all of the
I think
waves of tracks.
I think if they just took that model and made it just go forever
Yeah,
would be the thing, right? It comes out the second year of the Switch life cycle, and there's a season pass for it every year until the next Mario Kart. That would be the move, right?
yeah,
And you
and
Yeah.
sell
rather than all tracks, give me new characters, could be maybe new modes. Like, let's improve on the battle mode. Let's add in maybe a double dash mode or whatever else they've kind of got cooking.
yeah.
I think
And
that would
you
be
could that could
Karen.
be like a pack every for the year, right? Like it's like you pay
Yeah.
for the one and there's 4 drops, you get one in the,
Or it's a reason for you to subscribe to the Switch Online expansion pack. So
totally.
Yeah.
you're locked in every single year, just continually paying them.
Yeah, I wonder if it means, like, shortly after the release that they're gonna be ready to start pumping new content into it to retain, like, players and stuff.
Yeah, and it's like when you think about how good it sells, right? Like that I mean, so this game, right, is the best-selling game on the console. It's been a top 20 seller for 70 some odd months or something like that. When you think about, that install base, right? If you could sell them a $10 or a $20 DLC every single year, that's a lot of money, And it's like if you assume that it's going to sell on a similar trajectory over the course of that next console's life cycle, it's not only okay, this has become the best selling game on the platform again, right? And it makes its money back and then some that way. But if half of those people buy that DLC every year, that's the third of a cost of a new game that you're getting just for, theoretically, right? Like pushing out, well, like 4 tracks and 4 characters
Mhm.
or whatever a year. Like that's a really good return on investment for a game that's already done, right? Like, especially if you got Namco Bandai supporting and they can just spin out
Well, can you
DLC.
imagine if you can use the
Yeah.
same models for, like, Smash? Bandai Namco's helping with Smash, so let's, like, get them to make a model that works in Smash, but then we can also use that in Mario Kart, and we can kind of make it one thing. Um, I think there's probably something there in terms of live service. Hearing this news though, the most expensive of all time, that it's gonna look absolutely, like, dropping, and this, the game's visual fidelity is meant to be a very high priority. I assumed, and maybe this was, maybe this is a naive view, that it was gonna be a cross-platform game, and they were gonna do do you really wanna leave 150, 160 million Switch install base behind when you
I
make
think
a
you
new
do.
Mario Kart?
I think you do though, because you already got their money. They bought Mario Kart 8, right? Like it's like, do you need to sell them enough? I think what you do is you put that out and you go, hey, if there's anything that's going to convince you to move over to the next console, it's the sequel to the most popular game on the first one, right?
Mm.
Mm.
It's a great way to sell the message of like, oh, it's time for an upgrade, right?
Oh, yeah,
Because
and
you
you
want to.
see how like, you see how much better it looks based on what you've been playing for the last 10 years. Now the next one looks insane. It looks like you're playing a movie on your screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, right, you tie that into, there, according to Zippo, right, there's going to be a 3D Mario game the year before at launch. You're going to maybe have that movie coming up around then. Like, it's like, we're like Mario's, it's firing on all cylinders right now, the Mario machine, right? So it's like the idea that, they could, you know, um, continue that momentum and not just the momentum that Mario Kart 8 has, but the momentum that that brand has overall right now and push that into, another bestseller is like, I think totally reasonable, especially if they've been investing a ton of time and money into it, right? Like they've had ostensibly 10 years to come up with what's next. So I imagine that they have that answer pretty well figured out.
I also wonder, like, I hope this is like incentive for them to be more creative with tracks, or like you said earlier, Steve, like dip into like other IP that's like out on Nintendo. Can we get like a Metroid track? Can we get like Pokemon finally? It's weird that I mean, it's not too weird that these are not things in these games, but clearly we've seen that like they're like trying to branch out like with Zelda and Animal Crossing. So more
I
Nintendo
I'd have
titles
thought
would be
we would
sick.
have though. Like, we've got you can play as Splatoon races. There's like, if you can like get the suit, the Splatoon suit, but only a Mii character if you want to. If you scan those amiibo in. I don't think having like a Samus in there, like probably a Zero Suit Samus, where there's a course that goes with that. I don't think that's too far of a stretch. And I don't think you switch over to like a Nintendo Kart name, because I think the Mario Kart
No,
brand
no,
is
you keep
is
the
so
Mario Kart
strong.
branding.
Yeah, I think it
Add those
works.
characters. Honestly, I think that you say that, Steve, right? Like I'm kind of surprised that they haven't done more with that. I wonder if that's because that's what they're doing for the next one and that like they don't want to play that card too soon, right? Cuz it's like, okay, yeah, we teased you with Link and Animal Crossing and these other there's like we said there's like the F-Zero level and stuff like
Mhm.
that. They teased you with the crossovers in that game, but maybe this is the game where it's like, look, this is the thing, right? And it's like you're going to have Link on the box. You're going to, lean into it and make it more of a Smash style deal, right? But obviously you're not getting rid of that branding.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I that to me seems like the easiest answer, right? For like what do you do next? How do you blow it out and make it bigger and more exciting again? I think that's an easy win, right? To be like, who's your favorite Nintendo character? They're in the game now and they have 5 levels, right? There's 4 Kirby levels or something, like, and that could be an easy way to inject a ton of new personality into new courses. And instead of being like, we got to come up with 30 new Mario race, like when there's already 100 of them, like,
Yeah.
no, yeah, make 2 or 3 from Kirby, 2 or 3 from, Metroid, 2 or 3 from this, and then just
Please,
bring.
please not everyone being a Fire Emblem character like it is in Smash. Though.
That card doesn't work on this game. It'd be okay.
Yeah, please no.
But I think you do that, and then like you just bring all the like every Mario Kart 8 level, port it over, right? And then you've got a huge amount of content, and like, bigger and better is achieved. I don't know where you go from there, but that's the problem.
That's when the live
decade from
service
now.
comes in. Like that's when you don't need to go anywhere from there once it becomes a live service game. And I think you amp it up with competitions. We do something like they do with the Splatfest, where it's like maybe you team up and there's some kind of incentive to keep coming back and playing. Maybe you get like unique stuff like costumes and things. There's so many reasons that you could come back and keep playing. And they've never really kind of capitalized on it with Mario Kart.
That's interesting because I think I could see it following a similar trajectory to what they did with Mortal Kombat 1 this year with their season pass, where there's like the live service element of like playing online, right? And like getting into competitive and ranking and all that. But then there's also a single player mode where there's a season that you can play every year, or I'm sorry, every month or whatever it is that the new season starts. And they have like cosmetic stuff like you would get in like Fortnite or like multiverses before that shut down. And you could do the whole like, okay, like if you go and like you finish X amount of cups in single player or whatever, you'll unlock exclusive skins that only come out during this season, right? And you could get, like some of the like cool alternate skins that like we appreciate in Smash, right? And it could be like, oh, like Samus is the main racer and there's a Zero Suit Samus skin, right? Or like you get Luigi as the main racer and then you get that one weird skin that's the color scheme from like the cartoon, right? Like just little things like that. Or like when the movie comes out, right? Oh, it's like a movie tie-in and it looks more like the models from the movies or whatever, right? Something like that. And that could be an easy way to keep people engaged outside of always having it to be like new content, right? You could have dailies and stuff like that where it's like race with this character, right? Do this cup, like race a certain amount of distance or something like that, and give people reasons to come back and like be constantly unlocking new things and staying engaged,
God, I hope so. I really hope next generation is the generation Nintendo figures out this stuff because
Being online.
Splatoon 3 could have been it, but it was not.
No.
There's
Yeah.
gonna be like achievements and trophies like on PlayStation and like, just
That
like
would be
in
lovely,
general.
yeah.
Right?
God
It's like
damn
4
it.
generations later, that would be super cool.
Yeah.
Something, right? Like I think that it's a shame because Nintendo games do such a good job of building communities around them, and Nintendo does nothing to capitalize or encourage that, right? And it's so much of it is like this independent online, you're on Discord, you're on this, you're on that. And it's like, I mean, that's all great, but it would be cool to have more of some of those things we've come to expect in these other games, come in and like breathe new life into these experiences that we know so well, right? Like that would be a total game changer for Mario Kart X, whatever. To have it be a game that never goes away, right? That you're not like, oh yeah, like I'm waiting for the next set of tracks. It's like there's a new track every month, or there's a new character every month, or there's a new game mode or event or something that gives you the reason to turn it back on and try again.
Those tracks definitely do give you a reason to turn it back on, though, because even with this booster pass, booster pack, whatever they called them, that kind of gave people the reason to come back to the game. I'd all but stopped playing that game, and getting those new tracks and going back and like seeing Coconut Mal in there again for the first time, it was exciting.
Agreed. Yeah, we streamed it for the first time in years because there's new stuff to do, right?
Yeah.
And it's like I get that you can't, like, maybe that's not a thing you can always sustainably do, but there are these other things you can do to like, keep the game alive and moving and like in the conversation, even if it's not the thing you're playing all the time, right? Some people will, and the folks like us that are maybe looking for new tastes and are, I'll come back when there's a new track. I'll come back when there's a new skin I want to unlock or whatever, right? And then that'll be the thing that gets me back in for a week or two, and then I'll bounce and I'll come back with the next DLC, right? And it is a thing that stays as a part of your appetite and your digest rather than being like, isn't that a great game that I haven't played in 3 years?
What's
Yeah.
your like dream course and dream character then? If we do get something in like a crossover in Mario Kart X.
I mean, I think it's maybe an easy answer for me, but I think Sierra hit it for me. It's like it'd be Pokemon, right? It would be really cool if there
Mm.
was like, a
Maybe it's like
level.
the level where you're going through on like the safari and you kind of see them all out and about and stuff.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Safari Zone would be an awesome course
That'd
idea.
be
Or like you
sick.
could do like one of the big cities, like something like Celadon, or like I forget the name of the one in 5 that's like the New York City analog or whatever.
Oh, I forget that one too. It's like, yeah,
Think
I know
about it. You
exactly
might
what
get
you're
it.
talking about.
It's like right on the tip of my tongue. But you could do something like that and have it be like the intro to Detective Pikachu, where it's like you're just driving around a city in the world of Pokemon, and it's like there's just interesting things happening.
Yeah.
Um, I think dynamic events would be something I would like to see too. Like I think of like the level from Mario Kart 64. I think it's Toad Speedway is what it's called. It's the one where you're on the highway and there's all the different cars and stuff.
Oh god, yeah, that was a nightmare.
All-timer. I would love to see levels, like, play with that concept in a deeper way, where, like so say it is this Pokemon one, right? It would be really neat if it was, like, there was an element of something that was random. So, like, even if I'm playing a course every time, I don't know what the thing's gonna be, right? And, like, that could be simple cosmetic stuff like the Animal Crossing thing that Sierra mentioned earlier, where it's like the seasons change or whatever. But it could also be something where it's like, okay, you're on this Pokemon level and there's a point where you go past the gym and there's like 2 Pokemon battling and like it's a 50-50 shot which one of them is going to win. And then if this one wins, you have to go down this path. And if this one wins, you got to go down that path. And like
Mm,
just giving you more replayability out of the levels you already have, I think is a thing that they could definitely do to add some depth to.
yeah.
That would be great, yeah.
I'm
Thinking
also
about other racing games though, like even dynamic events such as weather, time of day,
yeah.
simple things like that, just bring that over. Like I wanna play the same course, but I wanna play it at night, and I wanna play it when it's raining, or I wanna play it when it's snowing, and maybe that changes how it feels a little bit.
Be cool.
Yeah. Okay, to go back to Pokemon real quick. I was literally looking at my Pokemon Snap poster while we were talking about potential courses. Imagine it's like, one of those, I think it's the power plant or it's like the jungle one. If you throw a certain like if you throw a fruit at a certain Pokemon, it opens up the track and switches it to like a different
Oh, that'd be
area.
so cool.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, like, that would be really neat to have, like, the ability to have, like, world events that, like, if you know how to trigger them, maybe you can get a little ahead, right? Or, like, just I don't know,
Rather
like,
than
little.
just knowing where the secret, like, shortcuts are on the map, you're gonna know how to
Right.
kind of unlock them. That'd be really cool, yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like and that you can't do it the same way every time because, like, it's gonna trigger an event, but you don't know what that event is. And, like, if you know all of them, then you can strategize and react and be like, "Oh, okay, I triggered this event. This is gonna be the thing that happens." Like, I just think that would be interesting because then it's like every map becomes like 5 kind of, or like, you know what I mean, right? Like, it gives you that sense of, like, it's not gonna just be, "I know the angles and I know the spots to get the shortcut, so I'm gonna come in first every single time." Right? Like,
Mhm.
I think that would be neat.
And everyone's got a friend who they play with who's like that every
Yeah.
single time, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, "All right, great. You're sweaty. I can't beat you." So what else, any other ideas for characters or courses?
I mean, I was looking up, the Mario Kart series as to whether we've ever had an external IP in Mario Kart, and the only game that has
BMW.
well, apart it was Mercedes, but apart from
Oh,
that,
right, let's
the only characters that have are Bandai characters in, the arcade
Oh,
games that are made.
Pac-Man and the Ghost, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Pac-Man's there.
Oh.
There's some characters from, Taiko no Tatsujin, and Tamagotchi as well, apparently is
Oh,
in, Mario
wow.
Kart Arcade GP2.
Love that.
So, there's precedent there, and like I guess if Bandai's helping make the game, sneak in some of their characters from some of their games, why not?
Do it.
Yeah, do
Like
them
a
all.
Pac-Man course would be so cool.
That would be
That would be
so
sick.
fun.
That's a great
It's like
idea. I love
neon.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love
That
that.
would be
And like
cool.
all of the coins could be the little dots that you pick up, and like it makes the little like chompy noise that Pac-Man eats them.
Yeah.
That could be like
cool.
a thing where like the ghosts are chasing you too, and you like have to hit the pellet
Yeah.
to, like get them to scatter, or like otherwise they like start pulling people off the tracks, and like that could interrupt like
That would be
rather than it being
so
like
cool.
a blue shell where it's like the first person, it could be like the first 5 people like just get pulled off, and then the people behind them get a chance to get ahead. Like you could have like cool little things like that too. It's interesting. I like it. We got some good ideas here, gang. We got some good
Yeah.
ideas. Any other final thoughts on Mario Kart?
I'm excited for it. It's been a while since I've been excited for Mario Kart, and I really am intrigued as to where they go from Mario Kart 8 because there's just so much in there, and I think I'm surprised that it's not the launch title for the next Switch. I'd presumed that Mario Kart would have been out in that first year,
Me too.
the big system seller of your console, get it there for the holiday season in 2024. But it's not. It seems like it's going to be the
How
year
is it not
following it.
done yet is my thing. Like, how are we not done with it at this point?
And maybe they are. Maybe this is one that they're holding. Like, you never know with Nintendo.
Yeah.
I'm also excited the fact that we're getting a 3D Mario next year, if this turns out to be true, because it's been a while since we have, and Odyssey was one of my favorite games on the Switch, and I'd love another one.
I mean, the 2D Mario rumor ended up being true, so I
It's
wouldn't be
probably
surprised.
happening.
Right?
I mean, I thought we
like-
were gonna get new 3D Mario this year, so it's got to be next year.
I thought that made sense. Yeah. So I mean, it's
Right.
like I think you're probably right, especially if you have Mario Kart waiting in the wings. It's like, okay, cool. So we can, we had the movie and 2 major Mario games this year. We get the 3D one next year. We get Mario Kart the following year, maybe the second
We
movie
got the Peach
that
game
year.
next year as well. And like, what do
Yeah.
they do? What else do they do for the 40th anniversary? Do they bring back Super Mario 35 or whatever it was, and they call that Mario 40, and now you're playing with 40
Probably,
people
right?
instead?
Like, probably.
And like, that's just gonna go away, and now here's like 3D All Stars 2, and it's a limited time only. I hope they do more than just that. I really hope there's something special for the 40th.
Steve, I gotta. Okay, I don't want to get your hopes too high or anything, but I'm gonna say this. I think something that would make sense is because they've had all these Mario games out, and they put the Peach game out, and we put Luigi's Mansion remake out, right? Too. Maybe the second movie's about Wario and Waluigi, and maybe we get a Wario.
That'd be
Wario
amazing.
game.
That'd be wonderful.
Give the people what they want.
Could be. I mean, we know Yoshi is like, so maybe we're doing Dinosaur Island. Who's to say? But I mean, you could bring a little Wario and Waluigi action in. Maybe we get a Wario game.
I mean, that'd be nice. I don't see that. I kind of see that. I kind of see Wario just being forgotten about, and it's all about Mario that
you
year.
think so? They're putting
Yeah.
it in one of these movies eventually.
They're just obsessed with WarioWare and not doing anything else with him as a character, and I just find it so odd because he's such a cool character.
That's his niche now.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame.
Oh my god!
I can see it. I kind of have a feeling that the next Mario movie or the next movie that's not a Mario movie is a Princess Peach movie.
Mm.
Think she's gonna spin off that quickly?
Yeah, I think she gets a spin-off, especially with the
I think
spin-off
too.
game.
Yeah, it's
Like-
true. I've
Maybe.
seen a lot of girls in Princess Peach costumes this
Oh,
year,
for sure.
so she's having
Yeah.
to come
Sure.
up.
And look how well Barbie did as a movie. You got to
Yeah.
look at that and be
True.
like, wow, okay, there's space for a Peach game here.
Yes.
Yeah.
A Peach movie.
But if they did
Maybe.
put Wario in, they should cast Danny DeVito as the voice of Wario.
This is the chance. You get
This
it
is our
back.
chance, baby. Yeah, I know. You can, Nintendo, you can make up for casting Chris Pratt by doing this one simple thing.
Do the right thing, Nintendo.
Do the right thing. Everyone call your uncle at Nintendo and tell him to do
Call
the
your
right thing.
senators, people.
Yeah. All the uncles. All the senators.
My uncle is a senator who works at Nintendo, and he told me the next Mario movie is about Wario. You heard it here first, everybody.
What if they make a Wario movie and they just leave Waluigi out, just out of
Oh, but
spite?
that'd be so evil, but it'd be so in line with everything
So
we've
funny.
suffered in the last 10 years.
That would be so absolutely funny. I feel like
Continuing the
the real
gag.
I feel like the real question
Yeah.
is like, does Nintendo hate Waluigi because he was invented by a Brit? You know?
Was he
Was he?
really?
Yeah. So this is a
Oh
fun
my
fact for you
god.
people. So Waluigi's original appearance is in Mario Tennis on the Nintendo 64, which was developed by, I believe the name of the studio is Camelot. You can fact check me on that one. They're a British studio that was a second party partner with Nintendo, and I believe still works with them on some of the sports games to this day.
Mhm.
And they were working on Mario Kart 60, or I'm sorry, Mario Tennis 64 on the 64, and they wanted every character to have a doubles partner, and they needed a partner for Mario, so they invented Waluigi.
They're okay, fair enough. But if they hate him because of that, what's the deal with loving Diddy Kong so much that was like invented by Rare? Like, come on. I hate Diddy Kong as a character.
Whoa, whoa! I'm not taking the Diddy Kong slant.
I love
You're gonna
learning
just
new things
drive by
about you,
Diddy Kong
Steve.
like
I
that on
learn
this
new
show.
things about my friends all the time. Well, I don't really feel strongly enough about Diddy to really fight you on that, so
I don't have a dog in
he's
this
just
race.
there.
You want to argue about
I
this
really
stupid?
don't.
It's just I hate him and I hate Scrappy Doo. There's something about like all of those like little spin-off versions of the like
Whoa,
larger
come
characters.
on. That is so
Well,
disrespectful.
Scrappy Doo does turn out to be a fucking punk. We all remember the live action movie, right?
Yeah, that dude
Yeah.
is. Look, that's what I'm saying. Like Scrappy Doo sucks. All right, Diddy Kong is delightful.
That's
Okay,
who he's based on. According to
Wait,
according to
really?
the creators at Rare, yeah. They based Diddy Kong on like Scrappy Doo. Like
Holy shit.
that was their like idea behind him.
that's fine. Well, they
It
nailed it.
was Scrappy Doo. I never would have made that connection. You're blowing my mind.
Dropping
Oh
all
my
kinds of
God.
knowledge on this one.
Damn, I don't know if I'd put. I don't think for me, Diddy Kong doesn't have Scrappy Doo energy, but I see the parallel for sure.
I think that's probably what they're getting at, right? Is that
Yeah, like he's the
he
cute
is
younger
the
sidekick.
yeah.
I'm with
Big
you,
dog, small dog.
but he's
Big
not
monkey,
annoying,
small monkey.
right? Because Scrappy is annoying. I think Diddy Kong is cute. He's got his cute little Nintendo hat. He's got his little, his little peanut pistols. He's got a jetpack. He's delightful. Come on.
What about all the other Kongs? I think that a
It's
lot of
true,
those
Scrappy does not
were
have
made by
weapons.
Rare as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Mm.
That's true. They were. Wait, what'd you say Scrappy doesn't have?
Scrappy doesn't have weapons, so Diddy is cooler.
We all know how
And-
much Sierra likes
And he
guns.
doesn't have a cool Nintendo hat,
Yeah.
Exactly. Come on.
Scrappy Doo, you
Embrace
gotta get your weapons game up.
up your game, Scrappy.
Yeah.
Learn Kung Fu.
Only
maybe
then will
we'll
you potentially be considered for redemption.
All right. We're going to end it there for today because I can't imagine a more absurd note to end it on. So before we do that, I'm going to remind you that this episode of Nintendo Noise is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of November. They are, of course, Arnold J. Rimmer, Christopher Valens, Earth Visitor, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, a.k.a. Sobe, Pilkey, Snackago, Ty the Dude, and Wakahula. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. You're all the reals to the real, and we greatly appreciate your support of this and all of our sister shows. Remember, if you want to go and show your support just like they did, if you want to write into the show and get your topics and questions read on the air, or if you just want to get involved in the community and keep the conversation rolling between episodes on our Discord, you can head over to flipscreen.games. That's our website where you will find links to all that and much, much more. However you choose to get involved there, show your support. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Nintendo Noise. For the crew, I've been Pete. He's been Steve. She's been Sierra. We'll see you next week.